Welcome to the latest installment of the Run to Daylight Show. I am your host, Todd Burrows. Welcome back, and we will be welcoming back a returning champion, Dave Kluge. We had a really good podcast together a couple months ago, went over some of our disagreements, found great common ground. We've been pretty good together ever since that, and we said at the time, hey, come back and draft sometime. So I am probably about $5,000 to $7,000 into Bestball so far this year, and I did 100 puppies. I've done early Bestball between FFPC and Underdog 60. I'm planning on doing about 60 of the 125s. Plus, I might do a few with partners. And I'm planning on maxing out the Underdog Best Ball Mania 150. So we're putting a lot of money behind my belief in myself this year. And I am just so happy to be drafting on Underdog. We're going to be doing that today. You can go to Underdog and use the code BESTBALL, and they will match your first $100 if you have never signed up on Underdog before. So go to Underdog, put $100 in, and watch $200 appear in your account. Simple as that. Dave Kluge and I are going to be sharing a team in the Best Ball Mania contest. We're going to be going through a lot of my process, a little bit of my process, and I'll explain it as we go so that, I've got, 6-7 years of best ball knowledge all crammed into my head, and I'm always trying to get better. Dave has a new show, the Football Guys podcast with James Brimacombe. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but James does even more volume than I do. I don't know about dollars, but as far as number of drafts, the man is insane. First of all, welcome back to the show, Mr. Kluge, and tell us a little bit about your war wounds, your recovery from your war wounds, and a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, well, about 2 months ago, I had a slip and fall in the bathroom. It's one of those things that you never think really happens to you. I was giving my dog a bath, and then she jumped out of the tub, clipped my legs out from underneath me. I just happened to be washing the bath mats at the time, hit the back of my head, fell on my shoulder, concussion, torn bicep, 2 tears in my labrum. So it's been a long and lengthy recovery after shoulder surgery, but I'm finally starting to feel a little bit better. Just got out of my sling a few days ago. But the real thing I want to talk about is this best ball show that I'm doing with James. First of all, you got Kluge and Brimacombe. You pronounce them both right. Not a lot of people get both of those, so thank you for that. But it's a
Hey,
ton of
we're
fun.
professionals here.
Yeah, exactly. I could tell you do your research, but no, really,
I've actually
it's
had
just a
both
fun
on
show.
before.
What we do with this show, and it's really unique, and it's not something that I'd recommend other people go out and do, but we kind of look at the show as like a thought process, like an exercise more than anything else. And where a lot of people just go out and I've seen some best ball shows where you just after watching a few episodes, you know who these guys are like, you know what their teams are going to look like. So what we do on this show is we auto draft the first 5 rounds. Whatever falls to us, we go 100% off of ADP. We auto draft the first 5 rounds. And that way it kind of pushes us out of our comfort zone a little bit and then forces us to build a team around that. So it's kind of a new take that we're putting on best ball. We're not saying that you should go out and auto draft your first 5 rounds, but just to kind of see how you can work with some different builds and do some different things. It's been a lot of fun. For instance, we did the Superflex puppy today. Todd, I'm sure you've already maxed that out or done quite a few
No, I,
yourself.
I refuse to do Superflex.
Really?
I feel like I'm already spending so much money, and also I just don't like. I feel like drafting is like a fine-tuned instrument,
Mhm.
and the more instruments you play, the less well you get at your main one. So I've cut way
Good point.
back on season-long drafts. Last 2 years I would have had 5, 10, $350 leagues done by now. I've got one, and that was only because it's this league called the Hard Way, with a bunch of killers that we do every year. It's half analysts and half some of the top guys. So we've got Dwayne McFarland in there. We've got Dave Hubbard in there. So it's Austin Martin, Scoundrel. It's Nelson Souza used to be in it. So I did do that, but I really try not to spread myself too thin when it comes to different formats.
Oh, I completely get it. And I'm sure you've heard about this a little bit, but the issue is with it being 12 teams and no third round reversal and the super flex spots, pretty much the first 2 rounds, the first 24 picks, you're going to see about 20 quarterbacks go. I mean, it is weighed so heavily towards quarterbacks that it kind of takes the fun out of it because what you're doing
Well,
in the
that's
first
another
three
thing. I
rounds.
just don't enjoy Superflex.
Yeah.
I think
So,
it artificially pumps up the quarterback position,
mhm,
and
too much.
I like what Scott Fish does. And it was
Mhm,
something that I wrote an article about a couple years ago when I was still with RotoViz. It's about dynamic QB scoring, and my theory was you go 6 points for touchdowns for
mhm,
quarterback throwing, but you give minus 3 points for interceptions and another -3 if they throw a pick six. So that way you're taking, because quarterback scoring is very flat
mhm.
in general. So it puts more benefit on someone who's actually good at the quarterback position. So I don't like the artificial with the super flex, but I want to talk a little bit about this concept that you mentioned about the first 5 rounds. You would think a guy like me would be morally opposed to that, but I have a very firm rule that I don't want more than 15% of anybody in the first 2 rounds in best ball because of the um, injury problems, right?
Mhm.
Every year you see, hold on one second. They know I'm doing a podcast and they're playing music. So I feel like I feel like you shouldn't reach too much in the first 2 rounds. Draft position is going to mix you up anyway, and
Mhm,
15% is pretty much double 2x.
mhm,
That's a pretty strong position to take because the number one thing that will kill your fantasy season is an injury in the first 2 rounds. Average pass through rate last year, 17%. Calvin Ridley, who opted out, was the lowest on the year, 4%. So a guy who's bad is going to, at worst be about 10%.
mhm.
So yeah, you got to be careful with the first 2 rounds. But go ahead, finish what you were saying.
And really, I mean, that's it. Is it forces us out of our comfort zone. If you look at my standard rankings compared to underdog ADP, I don't have a lot of Najee Harris or Derrick Henry just because I'm a little bit lower than them. I mean, I try to sprinkle them in here and there, but forcing us to adhere to ADP early on, first of all, it helps with diversification a little bit, but it also forces us out of our comfort zone. So like we talked about with these super flex drafts where it's just quarterback, 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 quarterback. That's how all of the first rounds go because we were working on ADP and ADP hasn't fully adjusted yet. We didn't get those quarterbacks early. So first round we took Jonathan Taylor, second round we took Matthew Stafford, third round we took Dalvin Cook, fourth round we took Tyreek Hill, and then for our QB2, we didn't really have a set QB2, so we're kind of doing QB2 by committee with Jameis Winston, Desmond Ritter, Drew Lock, and Tyler Huntley. Just a really unique build that I would never do under my own admission, but because we auto drafted the first 5 rounds, it pushed us out of our comfort zone and actually forced us to do something a little unique and fun.
Yeah, that is interesting. So I'm going to share my screen, and I feel like it's important that you kind of have a sense of the way that I do things before we jump in. One of the big advantages in drafting on underdog, because it's 30 seconds per pick, the live drafts really benefit the player who is prepared,
Mhm.
right? that you don't just get on the board and be like, okay, well, now who am I going to take? Or I hope this one guy falls to me. Well, what if he doesn't? So I'm going to share the screen.
You got to use that queue feature. It is such a fantastic feature to have.
Which one?
The queue on Underdog, where you can just kind of queue up
Oh,
players,
yes.
you know, as
That's
they're coming up,
exactly
and that's
what
what
I
I do.
do. So
I put different players in my queues, and
can you see
based on
this?
yeah.
All right. So in this draft, I'm 11 picks away, right?
Mhm.
And I've got 11 people in my queue. Well, that means I actually need a 12th because they're not counting you. So I'm
Right.
going to add Saquon Barkley. But the reason I hadn't added Saquon is I'm a big believer in week 17 correlation and week 16 correlation, as long as you don't bleed too much value to do it,
Mhm.
right? You never want to give up more than what you hope to gain. So you'll notice that I have this handy dandy chart. I've got all the week 17s pretty much memorized, but not all the week 16s. So what I do is once I get to 12 and 11, all right, so I have Diggs as I reached intentionally for Diggs because I didn't have much of them.
Ahead of Jamar Chase. That's bold.
Well, it's also unusual, but I've got a lot of Chase and I've got a
Mhm.
lot um, of Justin Jefferson. So I figured, you know, this is a way to get a little bit different build. And, the difference between the projection on Diggs and Chase is not that much. Anyway, so then what I do is I pull up to the next list, right? And I see I'm not even looking, well, I am looking at names too, because there might be someone in the next 4 or 5 that I like enough to put in the queue. I would say in this case, Tyreek Hill's one. All right. Now, I've got Diggs. Well, he's got a big week 17 matchup. So I'm definitely going to add T. Higgins
Mhm.
because what's the difference between T. Higgins and Tyreek Hill? Not a hell of a lot, right?
But
So
if
I
those 2 are in a
know,
shootout in week 17, you want them both.
correct. So I have set up my queue for this draft. And unfortunately, we're not going to get to see how this plays out. But I will be doing that every round. And you can say to me when we're looking at the list, oh, I like, let's say you like Lenny. You wanted him to be in the mix, right? All right. So then I would add Lenny. And then when we get on the clock, now we've got 3 or 4 more names than that are going to be left, right?
Right.
Because the only 11 players are going to go, and we've got 16. So we're going to have plenty of people to pick from. Well, we're going to have a core, right? We're going to have like
Right.
4 or 5 people that we all like, and then you and I now we're not like looking through the whole thing. We've done what you said. Use the queue. And we've added to it our correlation plays, our
Mhm.
stack plays, people we like a little bit better than ADP. And we've built a nice group of people so that we're going to have a few to choose from. So I wanted to throw my other thought to you on how to build these things. I look at this like a family tree or a puzzle, right?
Mhm.
So every round when we draft, I will write down who we have and who their week 16 and week 17 correlation is. And what we're trying to do without bleeding too much value is put those pieces together. My theory, Dave, is that when you get to week 15, a lot of teams that get to week 15 are broken,
Mhm.
right? Through injury, they were good early in the season. It's 1 out of 10 advances, so that's 10%. But in almost every draft where you have a healthy team, there'll be 2 or 3 teams that aren't healthy. So you've got a 20% chance of advancing, I feel, in with a good team in week 15. Then it gets interesting because 1 of 18 make it out of the semifinals to the finals. almost no one is correlating week 16. I like doing it because I only have a 5.5% chance of getting to the finals where all the money is, right? You can't hit magic in week 17 if you don't make it to week 16. So that's my theory. Wanted to share it with you and get your thoughts. And if you were okay helping me build out the tree during this draft.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and I'm glad that you explained that to the audience. But that's exactly how I do it. Is and that's why I said immediately, the queue. I think that's such a great tool on Underdog, and I watch some live streams where people just they're on the clock, and then they're like, all right, who do I draft? And that's crazy to me. I am planning from the second I make my pick. I am already looking at my next pick, trying to see who I'm going to queue up and who I want that next pick to be.
Absolutely. Because it's very easy, even for very experienced drafters like us, Dave, to get on the clock and the guy you really wanted just went, right? You really had your heart on, oh, he fell and he's going to make it to me. He's going to make it to me. And you get sniped. Now you've got 30 seconds and you don't know who you want because you really had your heart set on so-and-so. So we're going to do that, and I will use the better way of any other thoughts you want to share before we get into this?
I do have a quick question for you, and I ask people this all the time that are big into best ball. You said that you don't like your exposure getting above 15%. Now, is that just for
On
the
the
early
first
rounds?
2 rounds.
Gotcha. All right, and that's exactly what I was going to ask.
Only on the first 2 rounds.
So in the later
After
rounds,
that,
you'll obviously have your
I
guys.
get up as high as 25%.
All right, and that's that's about exactly where I'm at. I've got about 20 guys that are floating between 15 or between 25 and 30%. I don't like going much higher than that. But then another thing is, I pride myself on being able to get ahead of the ADP curve. That's something that I did a lot last offseason. It's something I'm doing a lot now. So there's some guys, for instance, like Alan Lazard. Right now, my exposure is 52%, which sounds crazy, right? But I was up to 78% at one point. I was consistently drafting him when his ADP was in the 120s. And now that his ADP has dropped into the 80s, I'm not drafting him nearly as much on my teams and letting that ADP or that exposure kind of flatten itself out a little bit over time. So
And that's
it's a
the right
dangerous
way to
game.
do it.
It's
That
a
is
dangerous
absolutely
game.
the
It
right
could
way
burn
to
you.
do it. I am not, when I say 25%, it just always works out that way.
Right.
Because, like, I was drafting, I had like 35% of Saquon Barkley early. He
When
was
he was a
going
fourth round pick.
He was going mid third round. To me,
Yeah.
he was clearly the best value on the board. And I had a ton of Aaron Jones too.
Mm-hmm.
And then as their ADP started sliding back down, well, then I mix them in like I would mix in everyone else,
Yep.
right? And that's what we'll get to at a few different points here. Is one of us might say, "I'm really on this guy," right? And when you build a team with another person, it's a great opportunity to draft some guys that you might not be on.
Right.
And, to diversify your portfolio. I like to do it when the people drop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like last year, Josh Allen, and even now, I don't like spending a third round pick on a quarterback, even one as talented as Josh Allen. Will I do it occasionally if I get Jamar Chase in the first? Once in a while. Other than that, I won't take him unless he drops around.
Right.
And then I will get some, so I have some in case I'm wrong. That's the other thing. I mentioned 15%, but I also don't want to be less than 4 or 5% on anyone in the first 2 rounds.
Because
now, as the draft goes on, I'm much more comfortable full fading people. I got into a big argument with someone today about Kenny Walker. I like the player. I just think him and Penny's ADP are reversed of where the roles are most likely to be. And I said, why would I take Walker in the 8th round when I think once camp news comes out and, Pete Carroll starts him on 8th string, old school, his ADP is bound to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if it looks like Penny, if I'm right and Penny's the starter, well, then when Penny's in the 6th, 7th round, and Walker is in the 12th, 13th round, then I would want to take a bunch of Walker.
Yep.
So setting up ADP throughout the whole season, I like how you put that out there.
Yeah, and same thing, Chris Godwin is another example right now. I don't want nothing to do with him at his ADP. I'm waiting for that news story to come out saying Chris Godwin won't be ready for week 1. And then when his ADP drops 5 or 6 rounds, then I'll draft a little bit of Chris Godwin and sprinkle him in.
Yeah, you want like I'm not drafting much DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, for a
Mhm.
guy who's missing 6 weeks, his ADP is too high. I mean, it's a 14-week season to get to the playoffs, and to have a guy be your seventh round pick to be out the first 6 weeks, you might never get a sniff at the top of the leaderboard in that league. Now, once in a
If you make
while,
it in and you've got
if,
him.
if I have Kyler Murray or I have Kyle
Mhm.
Pitts, and I want that correlation, and it's a really good team where I've gotten a lot of value early, and I'm just feeling fat and content going into round 7. Yeah, I might take a Hopkins as my third or fourth wide receiver.
And it's all about being fluid, playing the board as it comes to you. You can't get locked into your takes. You got to look at every board as a fresh start.
Right, and you have to be willing to consider that you might be wrong.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, in life, I've learned way more from being wrong than I have from being right. Because my whole theory on exposure comes from the fact that I was overexposed a couple years because I was so convinced I was right on a few guys, and they either got hurt or I was wrong.
Yep, that was me on Chris Carson last year. Last year, I thought, why is Chris Carson getting drafted in the 4th round? He's going to put up low end RB1 numbers, 35% exposure on Chris Carson, and you can guess how most of those teams turned out.
Yeah, I had either 1 or 2% Chris Carson. I was on the
Smarter man than
opposite.
I.
I felt like he was and I drafted a lot of Rashad Penny last year. So that's another trick that I like. If I'm fading an early guy,
Hmm.
who's the backup?
And that's been
And
me this year
because
with
what you
Rashawn
want to do
Haskins.
is you want to double up if you're right.
Yep.
Right? If I'm right because my thought wasn't that I didn't like Chris Carson, it was that he had such a violent running style that he was wearing out and getting these. I don't mind if a guy has a major injury or two. That's kind of luck of the draw. But these guys who get these are like Kyler Murray's another one.
Hmm.
Guys who are always getting little injuries. Those seem to be more consistent, Dave.
That's a good point. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to get us into a draft, and then I am going to. All right. How many? Ooh, waiting for 2 people. So it's good. We don't get too many listeners jumping in with us. Well, I mean, we're sharing our queue. We're sharing everything.
You want every edge you can get. Yeah. You don't want people knowing what we're talking about. We start saying, hey, look, this guy's sliding, and then boom, a listener picks him up very next pick.
All right. We're full. And let's see where we are. Oh, we got the 1-1.
Oh, that's an easy one, right?
Yep. Mr. Taylor.
Yep, I don't think we're button heads over this one here. You
Yep.
can
All
make a
right.
strong argument for Christian McCaffrey, but just like you said, playing ADP. If you can get Christian McCaffrey at the 3rd pick, there's no reason to take him at 101. This is the only chance you're going to be able to get Justin or Jonathan Taylor, so you got to take him here.
Yeah, and my thought is that you can also get Christian McCaffrey anywhere from 2 to 6.
Hmm.
Right? I've gotten him at 6. So I thought about this today. I might like McCaffrey as much or more than Taylor, but I never need to take him at 1 because I can get plenty of him because he does fall to 4 and 5 pretty often,
Yep.
where Taylor is almost never even at 2.
Yep. I just had this conversation with Jack Miller earlier today.
All right. So we've got 24 to go. Unfortunately, Barkley won't be there, and a
Who
month
knows?
ago he
He
would
might
have been.
slide. I,
Well,
I, I've done some really fun builds where I've started off with Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey, and then add Saquon Barkley as an RB2. And frankly, that
no,
just feels
he's just
unfair.
going too early to make it back to us
Yeah.
lately. All right, so we've got 21 people to go, and we've got an Indianapolis player. So I'm going to write Indy down.
And who does Indy play in week 16 and 17? Do you know
Well,
those off the top of
17
your
I
head?
know is the Giants, which is why I mentioned Barkley. And week 16 is the Chargers. So when we look at this, the next couple guys, we do see down here Keenan Allen
And
and
Mike
Mike
Williams.
Williams. So we'll add them. Do
Now,
you
see,
like
I,
any of A.J. Brown, Kamara, Chubb, or Javonte Williams a lot?
I mean, I love AJ Brown, but there's no correlation there. Let me just, and
Well,
maybe
I
I'm
mean,
galaxy braining this a little
but
bit,
if
but
we
let's.
love him, we can put him in the queue.
Hmm.
All right. And then I really like Javonte Williams. So I'll
Hmm.
put him in the queue because we're
Nick
going to
Chubb
have
and
two
Alvin
picks.
Kamara are two guys I'm not crazy about at ADP at all.
Okay. So we're going to leave them out. And what do you think of Kyle Pitts?
Love Kyle Pitts. He
All
is
right.
actually, I've got
So
him
now,
ranked as my tight end one. Not
so
drafting him
now
that
we've
way,
got
but
plenty of, and again, early, we really don't want to reach too much for a correlation.
right.
But if we can get one of the Chargers here, we add a nice sneaky week 16 correlation, and by reaching for them, just 3 or 4 picks,
Mhm.
we add a level of uniqueness as well.
Yeah. And now I don't want to, galaxy brain this too much, but if we're trying to project what a Colts and Chargers game would look like, we'd probably anticipate that the Chargers are going to win and probably by a reasonable margin. So I guess the only fear with that correlation, Jonathan Taylor and then either Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, is that you're actually limiting your ceiling because that could be a game where by halftime, the Colts are forced to abandon the run and the Chargers lean a little bit heavier on the run. So maybe I'm overthinking things a little bit here, but I'm
I
not
think you
crazy about that
are, and I'll
correlation.
explain why.
Please do.
I don't agree with the premise. I
All
think
right.
they're much more even than I think they're both 10, 11 win teams, right? Secondly, there is a scenario where Jonathan Taylor goes off and then the Chargers have to play from behind,
True.
right? And we're not locking ourselves into a whole game stack. We're just correlating because let's say the game is even 24 to 21, and I'm going to take our faces out so people can see the. Let me not do that. Let's say the game's 24-21. What if Taylor scores all 3 touchdowns and Keenan Allen scores 2?
Yeah.
Right? So what you're doing is we're not dropping a lot to get this correlation, right? It's just giving us a chance to have magic happen in a week where we need a little bit of magic.
Yeah. All right. So here we are up in
So,
about 3 picks, and there goes Saquon.
yeah.
I mean, it was crazy that he was getting drafted where he was for as long as he was. It's he deserves to be going in the second round, and I'm happy to see him finally getting that respect, but makes builds a little bit tougher.
All right. Of the guys who are left here, is there anyone that you like more than another?
I'd be happy with either Keenan Allen or Mike Williams. They're basically a coin flip for me. I prefer Tyreek Hill slightly to AJ Brown.
Well, we can if Tyreek makes it, I agree. We take Tyreek and then we pick. Oh, he went. All
Well,
right.
there goes Tyreek. So
So, do we want Keenan or Mike Williams?
I think Mike Williams has the higher ceiling personally. Keenan Allen, he's the floor guy, but I think if you're swinging for ceiling, which you should be here, I think that's why Mike Williams is moving up in ADP.
All right. So we've got him, and we could go A.J. Brown. He opens up New Orleans week 17 and Dallas week 16. Or we could go Javonte Williams, which opens up the whole thing with the Chiefs week 17 and the Rams week 16. Which one do you like? You got to pick quick.
Let's go Javonte, just because that's when, yeah. Let's go Javonte, like you said,
Good.
just because of the correlations you can get with week 16 and 17. Love AJ Brown as
and
the
then you
player,
look.
but
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying I love AJ Brown as a player, but this could be, with them having a heavy run game and a pretty slow pace of play, they aren't going to be getting in shootouts like I expect Denver to be getting into.
I think people are overestimating the Melvin Gordon effect. And I think that Javonte Williams in the third. People were willing to take him in the first round
Mhm,
not that long ago.
mhm.
And all right, so we put in that we got Williams, and that opens up Indy. So we've got a correlation already. And then week 17, it opens up the Rams for the Rams and the Chargers. And then we took Javante. So it opens up the Chiefs. And week 16, the Rams. So really, we want a Ram here. So Allen Robinson is a guy who would be perfect in this build if we get lucky enough. Brees Hall, Metcalf, Gabe Davis, Kittle, David Montgomery, anybody else. We're going to have to take one of those guys. Who out of that next tier do you like, Dave?
I mean, Allen Robinson is the guy that I am 100% sold on here. I got an article coming out with him tomorrow. Not trying to get too much into player takes, but I think he should be a top 15, top 12 wide receiver this year. Um, and a little bit of trouble seeing the screen, but you're looking towards the bottom here. Are you talking about the running back
No,
specifically?
you can't. All right, let me.
Oh no, I can see it now. I just had to maximize it. I was looking up something else for a second. So I mean, we're still 10 picks out. So
No, but we need to add a few more to the queue.
I mean, Brees Hall and DK Metcalf are
I
the
like
next
Metcalf.
guys up.
I don't want Hall as. I don't like getting too out of balance, and a third running back I don't love. I
Yeah.
like Metcalf. I actually like David Montgomery more than Brees Hall.
I'm a little bit
Um,
concerned about Montgomery with the new coaching staff that they might lean on Herbert, who was very efficient last year.
Herbert's
David
one of my
Montgomery,
most owned players. I
he
threw
is my
in
most owned.
Juju and I threw in Mooney, two guys that I like a lot.
I like that. Rashad Bateman isn't a guy that's on your radar.
I think they're going to sign another wide receiver, Will Fuller, but
Oh, all right,
I need more Bateman, so we'll add him to the queue, and I think that gives us enough.
all right.
So we've got two chances at Rams with Akers and Allen Robinson. Hopefully, one of them makes it because that will fill both of our. I think
Got some heavy
Robinson just went.
correlation right off the bat.
Robinson just went.
Ah, yeah, he's another guy that has been flying up draft boards lately. We talked earlier about trying to get ahead of the ADP curve, and Allen Robinson was a guy that I was at 60% at one point and just haven't been able to get there recently.
So Akers is a no-brainer for one of them if he makes it. Juju has a nice correlation with Javante. I haven't been drafting much Juju, but since there's nobody that I really love, I guess we could put Kittle in here too. You like Cooks?
I do. Actually just recorded a video on Cooks. I like him. I think the problem with him though is that he's more of a low
We're
ceiling
up.
guy.
So I think we take. How about Juju and Bateman?
Yeah, I was thinking Juju and Bateman or Juju and DK. I'm happy with either of those. I think Juju is the sure thing.
I think Metcalf is the better pick here.
Yeah. So let's do Metcalf and Juju. I like that. I do like Bateman, but gun to my head between Bateman and Metcalf, I'm going Metcalf every time.
All right, so Juju gets us Denver, and that's a correlation, so I can circle them. Week 16, the Chiefs play. Oh man, boy, did we do good by accident.
Yep.
Guess who they play week 16?
Denver?
The Seahawks.
Oh, awesome. We just stumbled into that one.
Yep, and sometimes you do. So we've just got a second week 16 correlation. And week 17, they play the Jets, and you're able to get some good Jets late. So this is turning out pretty good so far, Dave.
Yeah. Now, where are you at? We'll just rewind a little bit while you're filling the queue up. I just got a question. The Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Do you have a firm stance on one or the other?
I don't.
All right.
I think Mike Williams is going too high. But, at the same time, Keenan is much better for half PPR.
Right.
Um, so I don't love either of their ADP. So um,
And I think the problem you see with underdog is these guys on explosive offenses with really good quarterbacks, they get pushed so high up draft boards because people are going after the stacks and they really want to build those types of teams. Once you hit redraft season, there's no chance Mike Williams is going to be going as the 24th pick off the board. I mean, in redraft, he's realistically probably a fourth, fifth, or a sixth round pick. But in underdog, where people are, really going after the AFC West and really want to stack with Justin Herbert, I think that's what's pushing their ADPs up so high.
all right. I threw some extra names in the queue. Some that I didn't throw in. Let me know if any of these guys you want me to throw in. Adam Thielen, Michael Thomas, Hopkins, Gage, Hunter Renfro.
Nope. Nope. None of them really interest me all that much. I think you were on the right page there. Not crazy about CEH, but with the build that we're going for, he would fit in there pretty well.
Well, I really don't want a fourth running back.
Right.
So I'm going to take him out. Even and we've already got the one correlation. So I feel less inclined to add someone I don't like that could be superfluous.
hmm So I think the only guy that jumps out to me that you might want to throw in there would be Russell Gage. And I know, it's kind of dangerous chasing a guy with an ADP that's shooting up right now. But like I mentioned earlier, where I'm expecting some not so great news on Chris Godwin to come out at some point, I think that's when you'll see Gage's ADP really skyrocket. So you might still be able to get him a discount now, but
Well,
we
if
still
that's
are
the
in,
case, I'm also going to throw Brady in
yeah,
because if we're going to
you can get
take
a stack right
Gage,
there. Yeah, by the time our pick comes up,
although
there's a good chance you can
that
get both.
adds Carolina to the mix, and we didn't get the Carolina pieces that you want. But something that I've been doing in cases like that is taking Donta Foreman.
Oh yeah, love him.
Because I have a lot of McCaffrey, and on the teams where I don't have McCaffrey, because the only way I think he fails is if he gets hurt.
hmm So the other question, I mean, we can
We're
go
up.
Gage and
So
Brady. Yeah, we can go Gage and Brady here, but we can also add Russell Wilson with us already having Javante Williams.
I like Russ better than I don't really
Brady.
like Schultz, so I'm going to take him out.
hmm
Um,
I mean, I like Russ, but that Gage and Brady stack is alluring. I'll let you make the final say on this one since we're running down.
Let me look real quick at Tampa. They play the Cardinals. Um, I'm going to take Russ. I just think he's.
Yeah,
I think and we can go Gage without the stack. Um, it might not make the most sense to do it.
but it
Um,
opens up some possibilities for later on in the
well,
draft.
I mean, we've already got Juju coming back, right?
hmm
And I think that, uh, you know, again, we talk about how much do you want to drop to make a correlation. And I really feel like Russ Wilson is the most mispriced quarterback on the board right now
Yep.
because I really him and Dak are my two most owned, and I've backed off a little bit lately because of how expensive Russ's pieces have gotten.
hmm
All right, so some of the names I didn't put in the queue was Stafford. We don't
Yep.
have any Ram pieces, although
You just missed out on Akers. Yeah.
and Robinson. So I'm going to put him in.
Because we've got
And
who is it that the Rams play week 17? We've got their
the
opponent.
Chargers,
Right. Yeah, and
and
we've
they
already
play
got that
week
built up.
16 against Denver.
Well, there you go.
And
Stafford
then
might
we
actually
could
work
build
pretty
out
well.
some of the later options on Stafford.
hmm
I like Dallas Goddard. I put him in the queue. I'll put Garrett Wilson in because we get the correlation with Metcalf.
hmm
And we've got enough
I think
players.
we're where we need to be. Yeah.
Having fun?
I am. Always having a good time when you and I get to talk, Dad. Why don't you
Yep.
scroll down a little bit? Just give me a refresher on the team. So we got Russell Wilson, Jonathan Taylor, Javante Williams. Who are the other running backs that we have? Oh, that's it. We just got the two running backs so far. All right, which is
Yeah,
fine.
I
I'm
thought
okay
we
with
had
taking
3,
two.
but I guess we didn't take the
Yeah,
third.
it seems like we keep talking about running backs and then opting for receivers at the last second. So let's see. I mean, Damian Harris, I know that he gets not so great of a reputation in underdog, but if he's still available at some point, I mean Damian Harris and Kareem Hunt, it seems like I leave almost every one of my drafts with one of those two running backs.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. I mean, because we have Taylor,
Yeah, we
I
don't need to
think
force an
we've put
RB3.
so much. I look at it like a barbell,
Hmm.
and we've put so much weight that I'm perfectly content to only have 4 running backs with Taylor if they're 4 good ones. Or once I get a second one, taking 3 later who have upside.
Yeah,
Because
and
what
and paying for Javante Williams with where we had to. I mean, you can
exactly.
realistically just draft two late round running backs, and that could be it for your running back core.
I think we need 3 if we go later, but yes. I don't take 4 unless I only 4 unless I can count on all 4
Right.
in one shape or another.
So we are 6 picks away. Who do we expect to kind of drop to us here? Who are out of this queue that we're looking at? Who are some of the main guys that you'd be interested in?
Well, I'll put him up front. Stafford.
Yep.
I know your boy Lazard, so I'll put him there. I think Garrett Wilson because of and I like Singletary and I like Edmonds and I like
So no.
Goddard.
So even with Juju, you don't want to put another chip in KC with Sky Moore there. You think that?
I don't believe in him,
All right.
and I
And I
don't
take
have
Tyler
this.
Lockett out as well since we've already got DK.
Yep, I agree.
So yeah, here we are.
So
I mean,
so
Lazard,
to so
Wilson, or
to me,
Singletary. I'm
Goddard is a no brainer because he
right now.
could put up top 4 tight end numbers. What do you think?
Yeah. So you want to do Goddard and Lazard here,
I
or are
don't
you
want
sold on
Lazard.
Wilson? All right.
Oh,
Garrett
either
Wilson then.
Wilson for the correlation or pick your favorite running back.
Let's go with Wilson. I think Wilson's got a sky high ceiling, and we got the correlation there. I think we can still hold off on running backs a little bit longer, and that's a heck of a wide receiver core that we got there, considering we didn't take a first round wide receiver that shaped out pretty nicely.
Right. And we've got a really strong quarterback and a really strong tight end.
This is what you want a start to the draft to look like.
Correct. And then, you start to see how I formulate
Hmm.
and we formulate, putting together a roster where each position group gets a certain amount of weight. I
I
like
mean,
Christian Watson more than
Lazard.
mhm.
We don't have to get into the whole thing on the Packers. My thing with I mean, I think that for best ball, I think that he could have some big weeks. It's just looking at Rodgers' history with rookie quarterbacks. That's what concerns me just a tad there. He's just Rodgers historically has never really looked towards rookies much. The best rookie season a wide receiver's ever had with Aaron Rodgers was Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who hardly cracked 500 yards. And you can make
He's
the
never
argument that
had he's never had the need that he
right.
does this year.
Right. And it can go both ways. You can make the argument either way.
I I
The other
I
thing
still think the
schematically, I
number
just
1 receiver on that team might be Aaron Jones.
I'm with you 100%. Yeah, Aaron Jones is somebody that I'm taking in the early second without even thinking twice.
So the one guy who's a no-brainer if he makes it is Tim Patrick.
Yep.
But it looks he's moved up like 2 rounds.
Mhm.
So I don't think he makes it. I think we definitely because running back is going to thin out. I think if we don't get Tim Patrick, we take 2 running backs here.
Yeah, and this is my favorite area to draft running backs. This is
I
where
agree.
the handcuffs kind of start. Alexander Madison is a guy that I can't get enough of. I see that you got him queued up. He might not make it to us, but Alexander Madison, Ronald Jones, Ramadre Stevenson, Rashad Penny. I love all these guys in this
Well,
tier.
and that's where I would take a second Kansas City piece
Hmm.
on a guy like Rojo because now you've got 2 different positions. They
Yep.
both you have a better chance of them both going off.
Exactly.
I love Rashad Penny. I wouldn't mind him even with Metcalf.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel the same way.
I think Melvin Gordon's a guy we can't take because of already having Javante,
Mhm.
and he just went good.
And James and I, we just talked about that on the show earlier today. We ended up in our build. We had DK Metcalf and Rashad Penny, and our thought process was kind of, I don't know, I don't think that Geno Smith or Drew Lock is going to be the Week 1 quarterback with Jimmy Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield still out there. I think that they make a move to shore up that QB position. So draft these guys now because they are talented and their ADP is going to skyrocket if they end up trading for one of these quarterbacks.
Agreed.
I mean, it's crazy to me that DK Metcalf is outside of the top 24 receivers right now. I mean, just watch the guy play. I don't know how you can watch that man on a field and think that he doesn't deserve to be in the top 24 conversation.
Well, and the good thing is, oh, there goes Tim Patrick.
Well, we're gonna get some solid running backs here, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm not crazy about Chase Edmonds. The two guys that jump out to me are Devin Singletary and Alexander Madison out of this bunch. I'd move Chase Edmonds and James Cook kind of towards the bottom of this
Edmonds
list.
is my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I just think that he is like a carbon copy of Miles Gaskin, and I don't think he's got the speed to really do well in an outside zone scheme. I'm one of the people that thinks that Raheem Mostert is going to be the guy there, just because of his familiarity with the offense and his top end speed. Um,
Well, we're
it,
up.
I mean that's a heck of a value on Edmonds. We're almost a
Yeah,
full round
let's
behind
take
ADP.
Edmonds as a value.
Yeah, and
This
then
is when you take him when he's 10 picks late,
yep.
and then I'll let you pick the second guy.
I want to go Alexander Madison here, and I've just been shouting this from the rooftops all off season. It doesn't matter what your build is. If you're going hero RB, zero running back, Alexander Madison can fit into any lineup. If you're getting a guy who is going to have, RB1 upside, if and when Dalvin Cook goes down, you can squeeze Alexander Madison into any build.
I agree.
I looked this up the other day, and nothing mind blowing here, but when you hear the actual numbers, it's crazy. In games with Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison averages 4 points per game, about what you'd expect. Without Dalvin Cook, he averages 21 points per game. I mean, he's a locked and loaded RB1. Dalvin Cook misses on average, 3 to 4 games a year. So you might get nothing, you might get a handful of games, and who knows? Maybe Dalvin Cook gets hurt, and you've got an RB1 for the entire season that you drafted in the 12th round. 11th round.
Yep. I'm looking for somebody.
So
I
this
think
is when
he's
you'll
already
start to.
gone.
Who is it?
No.
Justin Fields?
No.
Oh, Zach Wilson. It's kind of funny how, so many people are on Zach Wilson, all the
I'm not on
volume
Zach
drafters.
But so here's my process. What am I
With Garrett
doing at
Wilson.
this point?
Stack him
I'm
with Garrett Wilson.
looking at who's on my team so that I can take at quarterback with that's a stack.
Right.
I can't get Mike Williams. I don't want DK Metcalf's quarterback. Juju's quarterback's gone. Gage's quarterback's gone, but Garrett Wilson's quarterback's there.
Yep.
All right. So, and I've already got the correlation piece with Metcalf. So I'm not saying we take him with the next 2 pick, but he's a guy who gets into the queue.
Yep.
Of consideration when we're on the board.
Now, who does Minnesota play? Week 16,
Minnesota has Green Bay in the last week, and I believe Green Bay has Miami the week before.
All right. I wasn't sure about their week 16. I knew they had Green Bay. And that's why Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison have also been two of my favorite targets. I'm a little bit bullish on Dalvin Cook as far as first round picks go. I've got more exposure on him than anybody else. But that week 17, I mean, Green Bay's defense isn't great as a whole, but where they're especially susceptible is in the run game. And if you look over the last few years, when Minnesota plays against Green Bay, they just run it down their throat. So, if you're looking to set yourself up for a big week 17, Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison are two guys to keep an eye on.
Well, and I also think that, one thing, everyone's good at something. What I think I'm good at is punching holes in assumptions that most people just take for granted. So what's the assumption? The assumption is that Dalvin Cook is the workhorse and Madison is there in case Dalvin Cook gets hurt.
Right.
Maybe he gets 3-4 carries a game. But very, very few teams use a running back like that anymore.
And now with the new coaching
And
staff.
now you've got a new coaching staff.
Mhm.
So I think that Madison has a sneaky higher floor.
Right.
And I think that's good where you could, he can cover a couple weeks for you.
Right. And especially, I mean, this was a team that we saw jerking Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson and Sony Michelle. I mean, they were all over the place with their running back usage last year. Now with Kevin O'Connell there, he might do a similar sort of hot hand approach. Not that I expect Madison's hand to get much hotter than Dalvin Cook's, but he can earn some work.
Well,
So
there's
here,
one
Cole
guy
Kmet
who's a
is
no-brainer here.
Cole Kmet.
Nope.
Who is it that you're looking at?
Albert. We've got Russ with no receiver.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So there we get the Russ stack, and we still got that correlation.
Now, I love Isaiah Spiller, but we've got 4 pretty good running backs. We could take
Wilson.
Zach Wilson. He probably doesn't make it back to us. Or we could go with we take Kmet out. So Spiller, Shark, or Zach Wilson. I'm okay with any of them, but I think Zach Wilson is the smart.
Let's go Zach Wilson. Yeah, we don't want to miss out on him. Let's take Zach Wilson here.
All right. So you'll notice one of the things I do, Dave, is that I will. One of the things I do is I really try to not let any position get out of balance to the point where I'm taking someone I normally wouldn't want just to have somebody. So people say, well, you shouldn't reach. Well, yeah, we reached, but we took value on Edmonds. We took and we reached for our second stack, but it's stacked, it's correlated. It's a young guy who could step up. And face it, an extra round and a half is meaningless this late in drafts.
I agree completely. And just mentally, when I do these best ball drafts, I love the first and the 12th pick for that exact reason. Because the way I kind of play it out in my head when I've got the 2 picks coming up is I almost always take one reach that, a guy that I really want that really fits into my roster and one value pick. And, you can kind of do that from anywhere in the draft, but something about having the back-to-back picks just makes it really easy to kind of visualize that I'm going to have one reach and one value pick with every single, double tap that I have.
I do like that.
So we're still 13 picks out. We still got 2 left to add to the queue here.
Yeah, I added some people that I like. Anyone that we're missing that you like?
James Robinson is a guy, he doesn't really fit in with our build. I just, it seems like reports are that he's going to be playing this year. And, if he comes back, even mid-season, if we're in a tournament where you're playing for the end of the season, I could see them really relying on both of those guys, ETN and James Robinson. ETN playing the pass catching role and James Robinson getting the ground and pound work. I don't expect this to be a great offense by any means, but he's a guy who's put up RB1 production in back-to-back seasons now. Even if he's only playing half the season, when you're getting him this late, I mean, he's a guy that can put up RB1, RB2 numbers that you're getting really, really late in the draft. So I understand why a lot of people are scared off by the Achilles tear, but just the upside for where he's getting drafted, I absolutely love. Kenneth Gainwell, you've already got him queued up, but with us having Dallas Goedert already, I'd like to throw Kenneth Gainwell in there as well. Get a little bit more exposure on the Eagles.
Gainwell, missed him.
Gainwell, you've got him. He's third from the top. I doubt he's going to make it back to us, though. We'll see. He's sitting up there.
Well,
Khalil Herbert.
I don't like 3 tight ends all that often, but Tyler Higbee does give us that elusive ram that we haven't been able to get.
There you go. Yeah, I was thinking, waiting for a guy like Van Jefferson, but if Higbee's still available,
he's gone.
Van Jefferson.
Van's gone.
Well, yeah, I don't hate that, and
But let's see where we're at.
If I don't get one of the big 5 tight ends,
we've got Madison. So Watkins is at least the thought. Mm-hmm. I think KJ Hamler makes a lot of sense as another piece with Russ. Robbie Anderson is a correlation with Russell Gage. Marlon Mack, I think, could start, and I like Wandell. So I'm not on Tyler Algier. Do you mind if I take him out?
Take him out. I'd
Uh,
move KJ Hamler up to the top. KJ Hamler is the guy that I really want out of this bunch.
all right. And who else?
Whew.
I think with this build, we could go.
I like Sammy Watkins. I do.
All right. I'd never take him. I
I mean,
wouldn't
he's not
take
a guy that
him.
I'm crazy about, but he works with this build right now.
But
You know,
I think that I think this is again, if you like him, that's what partnering is, right?
mhm.
It's taking some guys you normally wouldn't.
I'm not crazy
And
about
you've
Sammy
been very
Watkins.
gracious to me with some of the guys I wanted to take.
I'm not crazy about Sammy Watkins, but you know, there is going to be value in Green Bay,
I
and
prefer
I've
Randall Cobb later because we know that.
yep,
And I
he's got
hate
the trust.
saying that because I think it's ridiculous, but Randall Cobb is
He's Rogers' guy. He's
he's a
got
guy
Rogers'
that
trust.
he's the guy that Rogers demanded.
Hmm. Yeah, they could have signed, you know, Chris Godwin and Allen Robinson and all these guys that were available on the free agent market instead of signing a young free agent for free. Aaron Rodgers said, "No, go out and trade for a 30-year-old Randall Cobb."
Yeah, which is why most players don't make good general managers.
Yep. And that's you know, Patrick Mahomes with the go out and draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, I think that you should probably start leaving decisions at the front office because there were a lot of free agents last year that would have fit in
Could
well
you
in Green
imagine
Bay.
Jonathan Taylor on that team?
DeAndre Swift. I mean, anybody except Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of that draft class.
So funny.
Yeah. I mean, you see that
Well,
every single year, though. I mean, the same thing with the Eagles taking Jalen Rager ahead of Justin Jefferson. I mean, there's bad moves in every single draft.
so we've got two quarterbacks. They don't share a bye week. We've got four running backs. There's no bye weeks that are troublesome. There's no trouble at wide receiver. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm comfortable with stopping at 2 at tight end unless there's
You pull up
someone
the
that we
available
just,
tight ends just to see because there are a few. You know, Evan Ingram and Hayden Hurst are two guys that I've really been liking late. You know, we can work with the
Ingram's
Giants
gone now.
correlation.
He was in the
Is he?
queue.
Can you just click on tight ends so I could see who's still there? Yeah, I mean this is it for me. Hayden Hurst is the last guy that I'm drafting. Once you get past that, I don't really care about Austin Hooper or Logan Thomas. So
No,
um,
not unless there's a heavy correlation or stack.
right. Yeah, and I don't think we've got any sort of correlation with Hayden Hurst. I mean, he'd be a fun guy to pick up that, you know, could realistically stumble in for 6 to 10 touchdowns this year, but it doesn't really help our build as far as correlating.
I'm taking Fant out just in case.
Yeah.
I don't think that he fits.
Hayden Hurst just went. So yeah, we're sticking with Goddard and Albert O as our tight ends here.
Which is fine because Goddard could be a top 3 tight end. And everyone loves Albert O. I don't like him as much, but his ADP has certainly dropped off
After it was smoking hot.
after being smoking hot. While everyone else on Denver has gone up lately, he's gone down. And like you and I were talking about, Dave, that's when you strike.
Yep. Yeah.
I like this team.
I do, yeah. I mean, I got to be honest. The tight ends, Dallas Goedert and Albert O are two guys that I am significantly lower than consensus on, but that's why I like doing teams with other people. Dallas Goedert is a guy that is
Albert. I would have taken Kmet. Kmet's one of my most owned guys.
Same.
But at that point, we had 0 correlations with Russ.
Right.
And so to me, it was worth dropping half a tier.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to read my article on Cole Kmet that I published recently? I'll just send it over your way. I was pretty proud of that one. Okay. It came out all right. Made a call back to 1995 Tony McGee.
Who do you like here? I'm surprised that Mac made it back.
You know, we've already got a few Chiefs with Juju. How do you feel about McKinnon?
I love McKinnon.
Let's do it. It might be a little bit early for him, but let's go ahead and take McKinnon here for sure. And then, you know, I know you don't like handcuffing. We've already got Chase Edmonds, though. Chase Edmonds is your guy. Raheem Mostert is my guy. Why don't we just draft them both and see how it plays out?
We're done. We're done. 5 running backs.
All right. So Will Fuller, that's a guy that you said you expect to sign somewhere still.
The Ravens.
Yeah, let's go for it. And then hopefully we get Justin Ross in this final
And
round
the
here.
reason I say that is with Taylor, Javante, Edmonds, Madison, and McKinnon, I think we're strong enough at running back.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, what we can do, we don't want a tight end. We don't want a quarterback. So if Marlon Mack somehow makes it back, or your guy Mostert, I normally wouldn't do it, but as a sixth,
Yeah.
I think if you take Duvernay, now what you've done is you've taken my Will Fuller to the Ravens and you've got both sides of it.
Right.
I normally don't draft Beckham, but he will be that Ram that we're looking at, so I'll add him.
And that's something where James Brimacombe, we already talked about Donta Foreman. I mean, I know.
I love Foreman. I'll put him in just to have him. I think James Washington is fine to be in. DPJ.
Now, Hassan Haskins is a guy that I've been drafting a lot of. I'm not sure how you feel about him. We got
well, I wouldn't take him as a number 6 in a build.
Right.
Pringle, we don't have any correlations. I like this Justin Ross.
Yeah, that's most likely who we're going to end up with, and I'm pretty happy with
Cedric
that.
Wilson. So real quick, let's look for some correlations.
We've also got Sterling Shepard. I know we've got some Giants correlation here. Sterling Shepard, he's coming off an injury, but this guy's just a target machine when he's healthy. And, I know
man, I really screwed up.
With what?
I totally forgot when we had Wan'Dale Robinson and Galladay. I completely forgot. That's the problem with doing a show.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to go with a Giant, it's going to be this guy.
Oh, wow. Over Slayton?
Over Shepard.
Or Shepard. Sorry, Shepard.
Yeah, Shepard's coming off an Achilles.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Slayton's there, and he's started before.
Yeah, I worry that Slayton,
Slayton,
he's just been losing
you really need Tony to blow up.
Exactly, yeah. And Tony's a guy, obviously we didn't get a chance to get him. He goes way earlier, but Tony's a guy that I just can't get
really
enough
nuts. Got another name for you.
Burrito, there you go. I mean, yeah, he's a high-level handcuff, and it seems like people are just kind of forgetting about him. This guy's got blazing speed, and he's got good hands, and
he's the Giant that we didn't take.
Right. Yeah, go ahead and move Breida up a little bit. I like Breida over a lot of these guys. I'd put him right behind Donta Foreman.
Well, that's one thing I don't do typically when I don't adjust my queue because I trust that I know I'm only going to have 5-6 names when I pick. And
I'm constantly moving my queue up and
when
down.
I'm doing a live draft, I don't do it because I don't want people who might be in the draft seeing and thinking, that's who Todd likes.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do it for my own peace of mind just because, God forbid, and you've done it a few times where I'm not going to lie, my hands get sweaty getting down to the final 1, 2, 3 seconds there. I like to have that my favorite guy sitting up at top just so if I don't get a chance to hit that draft button, at least I'm still autoing the guy that I want there because of my queue.
Well, Breida went. Oh, no, he didn't.
Ooh, no, he's still there. So we got Justin Ross or Breida. I'm happy with either of those guys. Yeah, I think we're probably set on running back. I think we got a strong core there. So I'd go Justin Ross or Breida. One of those two, depending on which one drops.
Okay.
If they both go here.
I don't do Duvernay either.
Yeah, I mean, any three of those I'm happy with. And this is a strategy that James, my co-host, talks about where he'll take 2 wide receivers and an ambiguous offense just to close out his draft. He'll go Laviska Shenault and Zay Jones or David Bell and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Try to get 2 guys who you don't really know who the clear-cut wide receiver 2 is, but spend a 17th and 18th round pick on 2 of those guys and hope one of them hits.
Which one do you want, Dave?
Let's go Justin Ross here. Sky high ceiling with that guy. We got him and Juju. One of those guys is bound to hit. I like it, Dad. That's a fun one.
I do too. Came out pretty good. Let's get back to it. Kind of weird. Getting a little weirdness there, so we will stop. But I think that went pretty well.
I do too. Yeah, we got stacks and correlations all across the board. Can't be upset about that.
And we did it without sacrificing value for
Yeah,
the
I mean the
most part.
one guy we reached on was
Oh,
Zach Wilson.
we got a request from Stephanie Miller, who is a friend from the Run channel. Can we review some of the other teams? I'm trying to do that stuff, but
It just
that's
wasn't
why
pulling
I
up.
pulled this up. But it's not. Let me try and get to my. That's right, because it's completed. All right, give me 1 sec. I'll pull it up and we can look at the other teams. Steph, are you in this draft? What team are you, Steph? All right, let's look at Steph's team. Steph is a good drafter.
All right, let's see what she's working with.
All right, so this is how I tend to look at teams. Give me a sec. I won't sunny window. Can you see that, Dave?
Yes.
All right. So let's just look at the overall build. 2 quarterbacks. Stopped at 2, took them early. Normally, if I take a guy that's in the top 3, I won't take a second one that early. I don't think it's egregious, but it's not what I do. All right, so first running back, not till round 8, and then she took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I may have gone 7. Let's see: Mack, Gainwell, Rashad White, Ronald Jones, Penny, and Hunt. What do you
That's how you
think
do.
about that running back room?
I mean, it's risky, but if you're going 0 RB, that's the way to do it. I mean, all of those guys are just loaded with immense upside.
Yep, I agree. And that's why I said Steph knows what she's doing. So she tweaked up at wide receiver and quarterback, down at tight end. She did go 3 tight ends. I guess my only nitpick would be I wouldn't have gone Hayden Hurst. I would have taken a 7th running back when I'm doing it that late. But I do like the 6 that you took, Steph. Diggs, let's look for stacking. So we've got Diggs with Allen. Do we have a core? Oh, that's why she took Hurst. So she got that Cincinnati correlation. She also added Dawson Knox. So she got 2 stacks with Josh Allen, Mike Evans, and then Brady, and then Carolina DJ Moore coming back. Week 16, Brady is Tampa, and Tampa has the Cardinals. Does she have a Cardinal? And the Bills have the Bears. Let's see if she threw in a week 6. She got Mooney, so she got the week 16 correlation with Mooney.
Wow.
And the Cardinals. She took our Wandell that we should have taken. Very, very nice. I mean, I could nitpick a little bit stuff, but really good job. Really strong team. Anything else, Steph? Any other questions? Well, thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it. I'm glad you got to make it into the draft with us. I will see you over at ETR. And I will see Mr. Kluge on the Twitter streets. Tell us again what you're doing, Dave, and tell me, is there anything on my process or that you wish we had done differently? Talked about learning from each other. I'm open to hearing it.
No, I think that we did a great job. And like I said, I like drafting with other people because it forces me out of my comfort zone a little bit to take a look at some other players that I've otherwise overlooked. No, I think that we drafted a really fun team there, and I'm looking forward to see how that one shakes out. My favorite thing to do after drafting a best ball team is, share it on Twitter and let people poke holes in it and see what they hate about it. But that one's pretty ironclad. I'd be
I will
shocked.
throw that out next,
There you
so
go.
that I'll take it from my phone and I'll send it. I'll copy you.
There you go.
Stephanie, by the way, I think came in 5th or 6th in one of the DraftKings
Wow.
contests last year.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
she's the real deal.
yeah,
Hey,
my stuff
Steph, you
is
want to
easy
come on
though.
the show someday? She came in 4th.
Nice.
You want to come on one day, Steph? Well, if you want to come on, let me know. I'd love to have you on the pod. All right, that's going to do it, Mr. Kluge. I will see you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
I
Have a
want
good
to
one.
again thank our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. You can go to Underdog Fantasy, sign up, use the code Bestball, and get $100 on your first a match of $100 on your first $100. Thanks again to Underdog. Thanks again to Dave Kluge. Continued recovery, Mr. Bear fan. And we do ugly on Cole Kmet. It just did make sense to go Alberto. And I'm going to have to look at the article. Have a nice day, guys.